remembering to look into the lens, not into the viewer. I've been watching some of the previous clips. Oops. I remember saying at some point that, quoting somebody, I don't know who, I never know what I think until I hear myself say it. Watching this series, watching these videos, it brings up the notion that I don't know who I am until I see myself being me. It sounds silly, it's probably pretty far off, but then much of what's being spoken here is simple life as it's happening, like making Jell-O, like what's for lunch. Like, what kind of krimi am I reading now? Well, it's been a while. I haven't read much of that art krimi yet. Haven't read much today. That's not bad. I'd really rather be making Jell-O and making video than just reading kind of run-of-the-mill books. But, you kind of get what you pay for now. Most of what I read is either free on Amazon or included in the limited selection available to Amazon Unlimited. Amazon Unlimited, I think that's the right name. You pay about €10 a month, $9.99, I'm sure, or $9.95, whichever American or worldwide marketing numbers. €10 a month, and can borrow any number of videos. The maximum to be, quote, out at one time, like on my Kindle, is 10. And I usually hang out around 6, 7, or 8. I want to always have a little Spielraum, a little play space, right? In case I run into something that, I've got to read that. It can happen. I get emails from something called BookBub or something, I don't know, that is reports of cheaply available Kindle books. But it actually goes through Amazon UK, and I have to switch over to Amazon.de in order to order things. I don't really have a choice. DE is it. And I found a way of doing that switch over quickly. Just go to the address line or whatever, www or HTTP, and change uk.co to IDE. Enter, the same book, if it's available, on from Amazon Germany, will show up with the information and so forth. So I get advice as to possibly interesting low price, or I read a lot of books, Kindle, ebooks, easily more than 10 a month, maybe 20. A couple of the non-crimi, non-mystery books that I have on loan are the story of Queen Victoria, the reign of Queen Victoria, which began like before her birth, and it's just going on and on and on and on, and how wonderful Prince Albert is, and so forth and so on, and how happy they are. Anyway, that's one, and I'm not very far into it. There's a long way to go, but I'm curious. Another one is Life and Times or something of Jefferson Davis, the erstwhile, or Malig, or whatever, President of the Confederate States of America. Presumably his monuments, statues or whatever, are under threat. I mean, after all, breaking away from the Union? Well, actually, the Constitution doesn't prohibit it. There's nothing said in the setup of the Union, I think, as far as I can tell, at least until Lincoln came and said, fuck it, you can't quit. But anyway, I don't think there's anything in the official startup package for the Union that states couldn't leave if they felt like it, if they chose to. And they did, and, from our present perspective, being modern, enlightened human beings, of course, the core issue was slavery, and that's intolerable. Slavery is intolerable. Now, what happened with the stolen and imported Africans in the southern states of America was overt slavery. In other words, in total consciousness, everybody knew that so-and-so owns me, or I own so-and-so. An ancient practice. And it's still very much alive today, not only in the horrifying overt form. Look at your life. Who owns you? Who or what owns you? Do you really own yourself? And what would that mean? Not only free will, but free won't, and self-ownership. I mean, it's antisocial, of course. You know, in the Soviet socialist republics, for example, you, I, every person, in one way or another, was capital equipment. A means of production. And one's skills were means of production. And who in the Soviet Socialist republics owned the means of production? The state. Everybody. Everybody means nobody but the top crust, which is still alive today, and still the basic truth. Who owns you? When I travel on the U-Bahn or in a bus, literally half of the people, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but literally half of the people are doing right? You probably do it too. I don't, but so the question arises, who owns whom? Which is the master and which the servant? Well, it's obviously an uneven playing field still. It may at some point tilt the other way, but do you own your phone, or does your phone own you? Do you own yourself? Do you own your own body? Just questions worth contemplating. So anyway, watching myself on these videos is I find a means of knowing at least a little more about who and what I am. It's not all visible. It's not all audible. On the other hand, there are vast numbers of little clues, little aspects. For this, for the moment anyway, I have reset the camera to full high definition. I figure that's good if you want to look me in the eye, as I want to look me in the eye, because I'm doing this, or trying to do this practice of looking straight into the camera. And if I can add to that some sense that behind that camera, in some sort of hyperspace, perhaps, there is a person. There is an I, a me, a receiver, interpreter, staying alive. Namaste. May you stay alive. May you stay long alive, or whatever.